Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Christina and I love to talk about the baby whisperer Tracy Hogg, especially her book, The Baby Whisperer Solves All Your Problems. In today's video, I am just going to be answering some questions that y'all had for me to do kind of a Q&A kind of style video. And other questions that I'm going to answer today are just the frequently asked questions that I get a lot on most of my videos. Most of the videos that I do have to do with Tracy Hogg's method of sleep training, which is called Pick Up, Put Down. That is the thing that gets the most traction here. And honestly, that's the thing that attracted me to Tracy Hogg and her book in the first place. So most of our questions today are going to have to do with sleep related things. But in Tracy Hogg's book, she also talks about all things eating, all things with routines. She talks about potty training, she talks about toddlers, she talks about literally everything. So we are just going to start with some of those frequently asked questions that I get a lot. So the most common question that I get is, when will your baby start to sleep through the night when they are on an easy routine? And that's Tracy Hogg's routine that she abbreviated called EASY. It's E, activity, sleep, and then U time. Most people find the Baby Whisperer book once they already have their baby might be a little older, their baby might be closer to the age of being sleep trained. So the question I think is more so like, if you started this from day one, when is the soonest that your baby would get to sleep through the night? And so that's what I did with my second daughter, is I started Tracy Hogg's Easy Schedule literally when we were in the hospital. And it was awesome. Like, it was literally life-chinging. When I had my first daughter, I was exhausted. I just never knew when I was gonna have to feed her, never knew when she would sleep. When I would get her to sleep, would just sit on the couch and just like I would have her in my arms or something, and I would just be so anxious about her waking up. But then I also just didn't have the energy to do anything. I knew I needed to shower, I knew I needed to eat, I knew I should take a nap, but I was just like absolutely miserable. With my second daughter, I understood baby behavior more. I was really comfortable with my daughter taking a nap and with my daughter's feeding times and things. So I knew when I would actually be able to get sleep, when I would be able to shower, when I would be able to make my own meals and eat them. I already had all of that in place. So that helped just with like the daily living aspect. And then my second daughter, she slept through the night at 7 weeks for the very first time. She slept 8 hours. Then it was kind of a little bit sporadic. Like, there'd be some nights where she would need one feed, some nights where she wouldn't need any feeds, just for a couple of weeks there. And I'm pretty sure by 10 weeks, she did not wake up at all at night. So she was sleeping 8 hours. She would have a bedtime around 7:30 to 8 p.m. We would do a dream feed around 10:30 p.m. and then she would sleep until 7 a.m. And that was definitely in place by 10 weeks. For the most part, your baby should not be waking up during the night after 12 weeks. So that is, in my mind, the limit of that is like, your baby should definitely be sleeping through the night by 12 weeks. If they're not sleeping through the night, and that's just an 8-hour stretch from dream feed to morning, if they're not sleeping that without needing help, without needing any feeds or anything like that, then you have another problem. And it might be a food management issue, it could be a sleep prop issue, things like that. My oldest daughter was able to sleep through the night at that age without needing a feed, but she was addicted to pacifiers. So I was still waking up 4 times a night with her just to put the pacifier back in her mouth. And that was probably around 10 weeks. And it got really bad, like right before we started Pick Up, Put Down. Then if you are looking for sleeping through the night definition to be the 12 hours, your baby's not gonna sleep 12 hours without a feed until they are closer to 7 months, once solid food has been established. So that's when you drop the dream feed. You'll do a 7 to 7:30 p.m. bedtime, and then instead of doing a dream feed at 10:30-ish, then you're just gonna let them go until the morning, and that's when they'll actually be able to go 12 hours at night. But most people are looking for that 1 8-hour stretch, because that's when we get our 8 hours, right? Another very common question I get has to do with Pick Up, Put Down. It has to do with early naps and naps that end too soon. So most people wonder, if their baby wakes up from a nap early, do they do Pick Up, Put Down? Do they end the nap? If their baby wakes up and the baby's not crying, what do you do then? And those are all really great questions. So If your baby does wake up early from nap, yes, you have to do pick up, put down to get them back down for the remainder of their nap. It's the only way they're going to learn to take a longer nap. If you don't do it, then they're never going to take a nap that's longer than 45 minutes. If you do it, it's a lot of work and it's really hard, and especially more difficult when you do have a toddler around, but it is the thing that's going to teach them that they have to go back to sleep, and it's going to help them take longer naps. They're going to get to those 2-hour naps and it's going to be amazing. If your baby wakes up and they do not cry, then you don't do anything. You can't really do pick up, put down unless your baby is crying and unless they're showing signs of like wanting to go back to sleep, needing help to go back to sleep. You just want to leave them if they're not crying because they're probably calm enough to actually go back to sleep on their own. You'd often be surprised. A lot of parents can intervene too soon and too early, and they stop their baby from actually putting themselves to sleep. And then one of the questions that we got for this video has to do with how to know if your baby is ready to transition from 2 naps to 1 nap. So that transition actually takes place usually between 12 and 18 months. And that one is probably like the most dreaded because it feels like you're losing so much of your you time, your me time. Especially with your first child, you've just had them do multiple naps, you've had multiple breaks throughout the day, and so condensing those 2 naps into 1 means that you're just gonna only get 1 break now throughout the day. So that was something that I had a difficult time with, just like looking at, like it was kind of scary to think like I have only 1 break. And then now that my oldest daughter, she only takes a 1-hour nap in the middle of the day, I'm like, oh, I'm looking at her not needing this nap now in the next year. So we'll see how that goes. But ways to know your baby is ready for that transition: they need to be the right age, between 12 and 18 months. You also need to notice that they can go at least 5 hours of being awake. So they need to be able to make it till noon, really, in order to do a 1 nap schedule. And that's assuming that they're waking up at 7 a.m. So adjust that according to your wake time. So if they wake up at 7 and they can stay awake until noon, then they can take like a 2-hour nap till 2 and then do another 5-hour wake window until 7 p.m. bed. Essentially, that's the goal. So they need to be able to stay awake that long, and then they also need to not need more than 2 hours of nap time. If they still need a 3-hour nap, I think you still could transition them. My oldest daughter did do a 3-hour nap for a couple days when she first started the 1 nap schedule, but she very quickly dropped that to 2 hours. So that you kind of have to watch because you also don't want their nap time to rob from their bedtime sleep. So if you give them like a 3-hour nap or like a 2 to 3 hour nap, whatever you think is right for them, and you start to notice that when you put them down for bed that they aren't going to sleep within like 15 to 20 minutes of being put down to bed, or you start to notice that they're waking up earlier in the morning and they're just kind of awake earlier than they should be, then that means that they're getting too much nap time. And so you need to, I would start just by cutting it. If you're at 3 hours, cut it back an hour, do a 2-hour nap, see if they can sleep better at night. They could just need like 30 minutes lopped off, but I think an hour increment is going to make the biggest difference. So those are the signs. And so you really kind of have to test out the wake window one if you do think your child is ready to make that transition and to try a 5-hour wake window. Then just like keep them up. Obviously, you don't want them to have behavioral problems because they're exhausted. When my daughter made the transition, she was like 17 months and we were gonna go on vacation. So I kind of forced the transition. I took her out for the whole morning, actually. We stayed nearby, so we weren't really far away, so she wouldn't fall asleep in the car. But we went out and we did a lot of things, so it would distract her from wanting to go to bed. We came home, we had an early lunch, and then she went and took her nap at noon. And I think she slept till like 3 the first time, and then the next few times she just slept until about 2 o'clock. And so that just became the thing, and that's just how she got used to it. Some children, you may notice, actually do need to drop the nap sooner. They may be like closer to 12, 13 months, and they could be on the 2 nap schedule, and you will start to notice that they're not really taking the morning nap. They're not tired for it. They might just stay awake the whole time. Or if they do take the morning nap, they could be doing the same thing with the afternoon nap. And so that is also a good sign that you should just keep them up longer in the morning and let them just do a 1 nap schedule. And honestly, it's really, really nice to have 2 to 3 hours in the middle of the day to myself rather than having like 2 1-hour increments. It's actually a lot better to just have one giant chunk. So don't be afraid if you are facing that transition. It feels a lot bigger than it is. A common question that I get a lot on my channel is, why are my videos so long? Why do I talk so much? Why is everything so wordy? That depends on the video, obviously. But for most of them, my biggest videos are the ones where I take the Baby Whisperers book and I go chapter by chapter and just like do an outline of the chapter. Those ones are very long. They just could not be cut down more. There's a lot of details in there. And then my other videos where I go into more detail about specific topics, especially about sleep training and about pick up put down, those require more detail. Sleep training is not just like a checklist of do this, this, and this, and then poof, your baby's problems are going to be fixed. It's a complete whole understanding of your child's sleep needs. So the only way you're going to have success with pick up put down or the 4S method or whatever method you're looking at doing is to actually have a complete understanding of your child's sleep and the way that their eating factors into that, the way that their routine factors into that. So if I just posted a video where I said, this is how you do pick up put down, and I just went through the steps, I would be doing you a disservice, because then you would try it out and you would fail at it because you don't have your baby on a 4-hour routine. You don't know how to prepare them for bed. Like, you're missing details, if that makes sense. So it's my fault if I, talk too much or maybe go a little off topic in a video, but it is difficult to keep them short if I actually want to give you the information that I think you need to be successful. And I would hope that you think it's important enough to invest your time in it so that you can get sleep and your baby can get sleep. Those are important things. All right, and my last question that I got for this video was what I consider doing day in the life vlogs. And that is something I have considered. I do think that it would be fun, but it's also a lot of work. Like, having a camera all the time, trying to record everything that I do, trying to record it in a nice angle, trying to also keep my children's faces out of it. That's another thing. I'd rather not have them on the internet. It's just not something I think that I want to spend the time doing. This kind of setup is a lot more easier. It's a lot easier to edit. It's a lot less effort and investment. So I don't know, maybe I would in the future if I felt like it was helpful. But I'm also really not interested in flaunting my life online. I'm more interested in giving you the information that you need so that you can have the life that you want to have and be well rested and to enjoy your child and to enjoy motherhood. And yeah, personally what I want is just to do the same and not really worry about, is this going to look good on camera? And oh, we need to get content for our next video. So actually, maybe that's my answer, is I don't want to do day in the life vlogs. It's because I don't care about any of that, and I don't really want to get caught in the trap of caring about that stuff either. That's it. That is our Q&A video for the day. Hopefully, maybe you had one of those questions and that was answered. If you do have any further questions, please feel free to leave those below or leave them on any of my other videos. I love answering your guys' questions, especially when it comes to your specific situations that you're in with your children. I would just love to help you out and be a resource for you if that's what you're looking for as well. Thanks for watching.